Hello, welcome to Active Aging Strength. I'm Elle, and I'm going to be guiding you in a free weight workout that's designed for those of us who've been exercising our whole life, want to keep up our strength, but be kind to our joints. Thank you so much for joining me. What you're going to need for this workout is a set of free weights. Now, what we normally use is a pair of heavies and one super light, like a 1, 2, for you, 3 pound might be considered light, no more than 3. A medium-sized weight, and then one that's considered extra heavy. Now, if you don't have any weights, please do the workout with us without weights, because then that's going to teach you all of the right biomechanics for when you add weights to your workout. So the size of the weights depends on your fitness ability and what you like to work with. But I do caution you, don't go any heavier than you think is appropriate for you. So we're going to start this workout with a warm-up, and let's get started. Right foot marching. We always start the warm-ups with marching, don't we? 4, 3, 2. Arm press front. Now this arm press is going to simulate what you do when you're doing bench pressing with your dumbbells. Pushing forward, keeping the shoulders relaxed down and the abs tight. 4, 3, 2, step tap. Now side to side, we're going to add flies. So when we're holding those weights and doing dumbbell flies, this is the muscle group we'll be using. Make sure you're breathing. 4, 3, 2, heel dig. Step and heel dig. Now you notice I'm doing a tricep kickback. Let's spice it up. Arm side. Arms up. From here, knee lift. Step and knee. Now circle your arms overhead and bring the knee up to your hand. Four, 3, 2, slap the front foot. Now keep the arm low and bring the foot up to the hand. This is warming up the external rotators of the hip joint. Get ready, ham curl, step and curl. Now we're going to add arms, add a row. One arm row is one of the first weight exercises that we're doing for our upper body. Add an arm circle. Any arm, doesn't matter. Just warming up your shoulder joint. 4, 3, 2, wide tap, squat and tap. Now make sure you go through a squat, reaching down. 4, 3, 2, reach up right and down left. This is adding rotational movement, which involves your core. Now we're going to switch this movement, down right, up left. I'm needing to breathe harder right now. 4, 3, 2, reach up. Nice easy squat. Pull the abs in. Reach up. And an easy squat, not too deep. One more. Now you stay here. I'm going to give you a profile. Now we're going to go into the lumbar stretch. Tuck the tail under. Now keep the shoulders wide. The upper back should not flex, just from waist to tail. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and coming on up. Open for breath and an exhale. Our first squat's a lower body squat. It's called a goblet squat. Now you're going to choose a weight, one weight, to hold up here at your chest. Feet are apart, about shoulder width, slight toe out. Let's go down. Make sure that your knees are tracking right over the center of the toes and coming up. down, 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 press up, down, 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 push into the heels on the way up, down, down, press up. Are you holding the abs in? That's important. Try not to hinge too far forward. That's why we have the weight at the chest. Down, 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 press up, down, 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 press up, down, down, down. 4 more if you've got it. 4, 3, 2, 1, and coming on up. Now this weight goes down because we're going to grab a lighter weight for our second version. I've got a 5-pound plate from the barbell set we have here at the Y. You probably have those at your Y too. Even no weight at all is fine, but we're holding a lighter weight than we did before. So this is a squat with rotation. Think of it as a standing core exercise. So it's not about the squat so much, it's about keeping good spinal alignment and not arching back. So you start here, you go down to an easy squat. As you come up, reach about eye level to the corner. Come back to center. Reach eye level to the corner. Now this is what you don't want to do. You don't want to shrug the shoulders up. You do not want to lean the body back. So your goal is to keep a really neutral spine and a nice level shoulder girdle. Here we go, down and up. And we're going slower because we have to be very mindful through this activity. Pull the abs in. Notice I'm exhaling as I'm reaching. Now you can see with that arm long lever, that's why we're using a lighter weight. 2 more. And coming back to center. Great. We're going to move on to a single arm row. That's where you need your super heavy weight. Please grab some water before we get started. So for your single arm row, we have a chair so you can have one knee on the chair. That's really good support for your back. From here, you're going to have your supporting arm with the fingers off. That's better for your wrists than the fingers on. Your leg's going to be offset off the side. Before you begin, let me show you, do not let the shoulder drop down as you lower the weight. So you start with level shoulders and go from there. Take a moment, set the alignment. Neck is long, abs tight. Breathe in, prepare, and exhale, row. Now control the descent of the weight. Pulling the elbow above the ribs. 4 more makes it 12. 4, and 3, and 2, and 1. Now we're going to put the weight back on the chair, turn around, and do side 2. Each time you change position or change exercise, it's incredibly important that you start in the best possible alignment. So you want the shoulders wide, the neck level with the spine, the abs engaged, and then you're ready to go. Body check your supporting shoulder. Make sure it's not creeping into the neck. Four more. And down. So once again, we're going to change back to arm 1. Now consider that really a warm-up for the second version of the one-armed row. What this one is going to do is add rotation, and that creates core activity. When you do something unilateral, working with core rotation, you're activating your oblique abdominals and spinal rotators. So you set up just like the first one. Wide collarbones, long spine, abs tight. You pull and turn. Then slowly come out of it. Pull and turn. This is not one you want to do fast. Take your time with it. And feel the long neutral spine even as you're turning. I'm exhaling to create more abdominal involvement. So let's do 4 more if you've got it. Now, if you fatigue before the end of the reps, then you stop the exercise. 1 more to go. And returning back. Let's do side 2. The reason why you stop an exercise when you start fatiguing is then as the muscle fibers get tired, other muscles are going to jump in and complete the movement for you, but you've lost the work for your target muscle group. So when fatigue sets in, that's your chance, that's your signal to just stop and rest and then return to it. Okay, here we go for side 2. Long level spine, do I check out, I hope? Abs are tight and collarbones wide. Pull and turn. And back. Pull and turn. Now I'm using my heaviest weight for this. Normally in classes I use a 20-pound weight. Try not to rush. Body check your supporting shoulders so it's not hiking into the neck. 4 more only if you've got it. And putting your weight down. So we're not going to use this weight for the last set of rows. So go ahead and put the weight out of the way, because this next set of rows is going to use a medium or a light weight, because we're going through a fuller range of motion. This set involves your fascial fitness and the fascial lines of your body. Set up as usual. Wide collarbones, abs tight, long level neck. And you pull and turn, but then reach through, hold, and then slowly come out of it. So I'm doing a long exhale to complete the movement, but if you want to inhale to this point, then exhale to this point, that's fine too. Use your exhale to help you at the most difficult part. I believe 2 more would make it 8. And don't hike the shoulder into the neck. Keep the shoulder away from the neck. And we're going to stop and go to the other side. So for that one, especially if you follow it, or it follows the first 2 sets, you don't have to do quite as many reps, but they've got to be good ones. Okay, wide collarbones. Abs are nice and firm. Spine is long, neck level. Here we go. Remember your starting point, so you return to that starting point. You don't want to drop that shoulder down. Control the weight as it goes down. We have 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. And coming out of it. Okay, we're going to move on, having a seat on your chair, to go into bicep curls. We're doing a single arm concentrated curl. So you'll choose a weight that you'd like to use. Now, it depends on how strong your biceps are or aren't. So you can use a much heavier weight if you like, or you can use a lighter weight. You set your elbow into the thigh. Hold the weight in your hand. Keep the cord very, very strong. And lower down. We don't want to go all the way to a hyperextended elbow. Keep some tension in it. So coming up, try to stop about 2/3 of the way up. If you go all the way up to here, you know the weight gets really light. So stay in an active and resistance range of motion. It's really hard not to lift it too high, isn't it? This is number 5. And 6. And 7. And 8. We're going for 10. I'm feeling the warmth of the muscle. 9. And 10. Good job. Let's take it to the other arm. Remember, don't start moving until you're set. So you've got the elbow prop, the abs are engaged, and then the weight at the bottom. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5, and 6. Be mindful for every rep. 7, 8, 9, and 10. And coming back over. Now I'm going to give you an option, but we're not actually going to do it, but this is one that you can do on your own. So you know that super extra heavy weight that you used before? If you want to do what's called a curl with negatives, you can use a heavy weight. And I'll just give you an example. But you use a weight that's hard to lift on your own power, and make sure that your joints allow you to do this. If the weight's too heavy for your joints, then go to a lighter weight. What you do is you go up with 2 hands, go down with 1 hand. So this is a concentrated curl working the eccentric contraction of the muscle. So that's working the negatives, and this actually is where you can build more strength. So if you want to do that, you would use a heavier weight than you can lift on your own power. Go and get your mat. You're also going to need either a garden kneeling pad or a towel. Please bring 2 towels. So 1 towel is going to go under the head. You might need 2 of them. And then lay your mat out, and I'll meet you back when we're ready to do the rest of the exercises on the mat. Hi. So we're going down to the mat for the rest of the weight workout. You're going to need all your weights around you within reach. And one of your towels, perhaps both, but one of your towels is going to act as a head pad. When we lie down and do some of the activities lying supine, it's really important that you have your head in alignment with the rest of your spine. So if you do not have a garden kneeling pad at home, which can be a head pad or knee pad, then you can take a pretty long towel, fold it up, and then fold it a little bit more so it can give you some good support. One of your towels is also going to act as a stretch strap. So we might be able to use the same towel later, or if you just want to have an extra one handy, you can use this towel as a stretch strap. We'll get to that in a moment. But now we're going to start in a side position. So you're going to be, oh, why did I pick the heavy weight? Okay, I'm gonna be a little more conservative here. Usually I use 10 pounds, but today I'll go a little lighter. Now this can be an elbow pad so that your elbow doesn't get too uncomfortable, or you can use your head pad, which is your garden kneeling pad. So the clams, 1,000 ways to do them incorrectly, only one way to do them correctly. And if you do them correctly, you're targeting muscles that support the hip. So I don't know if anybody's been to the doctor for any hip issues. You get handed a list of exercises. This one is on it. So you're going to learn how to do it correctly. So I like to use resistance using a weight at the knee area. But before we get started, remember every time we change positions, we have to set our bones, set our alignment, turn on the connections. So guess what? Here we are. We're on our side. This is a plank. This is a plank. This isn't a plank. So you draw the shoulder out of the neck, Draw the armpit down the side, lift your ribs up. So if you wanted to support your body weight on your elbow and knees, you can easily. So remember, this is a plank. You'll hear that a lot. Okay, so you hold your weight, and when you lift, only go as high as you can go, keeping the pelvis stable. So the first thing is engage the abdominal muscles. As you lift, reach slightly forward and up, and forward and down. If you go in a straight, linear up and down, it's going to pull the pelvis back because our hip joint is a ball and socket joint. So you want to work with a slight arc or curve to the movement. So engage your plank muscles and go slightly forward and up and front. Exhaling to tighten the abs. Now body check your pelvis and make sure, I'll show you what it shouldn't do. So don't let the pelvis lean back. Now push down with the bottom leg, and that frees the top leg to go even easier. Exhaling on the way up. Now another thing too, now that's 8 reps so far, this is number 9. I'm gonna try for 16, believe it or not. But if you fatigue before 16, please stop and wait for side 2. And we have 4, are you feeling the gluteal area? 3, yes, and 2. Here's your last one. Pause, body check. Are you still stacked pelvis? Still in your plank? I had to fix mine a little. And then we come down. Okay, let's do side 2. I think one of the hardest things of weight training is to hold stability in the areas that are not supposed to be moving. So, because those areas are holding an isometric contraction. This is a concentric, eccentric contraction. It's movement. Here, your shoulder girdle, your lateral core, that's holding an isometric contraction through the whole set. Okay, abs tight. Remember, press down from the bottom leg. And down. Remember to go very slowly on the way down, because anybody can drop to gravity with resistance. Now I'm going to body check my pelvis, because it's going to try every chance it can get to rotate back. I hope that's been 8 so far. We're coming up on 12 and I'm feeling it. 4 more to go. 4 and 3 and 2. Love the feeling. And 1. And coming on down. Fantastic. So next up, to strengthen muscles that support the hip, we're going to do bridges. Now with the bridges, don't use your head pat. And the reason is that our pelvis is going higher than the shoulders, so we don't want to be pushing that head forward. So from here, let's do a set of warm-up bridges. There are different positions for the legs and the feet. They can be wide, they can be hip distance, they actually can be together. That's one of the harder bridges to do. So I'm going to choose just about pelvis or hip distance apart. Now make sure that your knees are aiming where your toes are aiming. We don't want the feet laterally rotated and the knees angled in. So align the knees and the toes. From here, pull the pelvic floor up, the abdominals are firm, and arms can be down. If you want a little more challenge, arms can be facing inward. Fire into the gluteal, make your heel heavier before you even lift, tighten the abs, and then press up to your bridge. So this basically is your starting position for our exercises today. Go down about halfway, 2/3 of the way, and then press back up. Inhale down as you go up. Now that exhale, pull the navel in, because at the top of your bridge, you want the pubis higher than the navel and the ribs lower than the navel. If you're arching your back on this bridge, you're bypassing our target muscle group, the hip extensors. So down, keep a stable spine if you can, and down, big exhale, and again. Try not to let loose of the abs. Let's go for 2 more. Body check, pubis higher than navel, ribs lower than navel, and come on down. Now, if you need a hamstring stretch after that, please indulge. Please feel free. Hamstrings were involved because they're one of the hip extensor groups. However, if the hamstrings were rebelling and your glutes weren't feeling it, that means you were doing it all with the hamstrings. So you have to really focus on engaging the gluteal fibers as the primary movers. Now, let's make it interesting. So in class, we usually use one of the barbells across the top of the thighs. You can use 2 weights, you can use 1 weight. From here, find your same alignment with the feet and the knees. Draw the shoulders out of the neck, that's always a given, and pull up on the pelvic floor, tighten the abs. Fire into the glutes before you lift and press to the top of the movement. So you see where I have the weights. We want it right at the top of the thighs. And if you want to dorsiflex, that means you're going to be driving through the heels, so that's a good thing. So you can keep toes down or dorsiflex. So down, press up. Keep the weights heavy on the thighs. We have 8, scoop the abs in as you go up, 7, 6, 5, body check when you can, 4, shoulders out of neck, 3, navel in, 2, 1, go up and stay, and hold for 6 exhales. Scoop the abs in a little deeper and exhale. And come all the way down. And then you put your weights off to the side. Go ahead and take a hamstring stretch. You need it after that. And side 2 hamstring stretch. We're not stretching too deeply because we're going to do a lot of that at the end of the session. You can draw the knee in for a gluteal stretch if you need that. And side 2. So now while we're here on the mat, we're going to move on to the anterior shoulder girdle, your chest. And you'll need your head pad or your garden kneeling pad, whichever you're using. And here's something that's optional. And I know with active agers, there's a lot of degenerative disc or herniated discs. And one thing that really helps you support that neutral spine is to take a gathered towel, place it under the waistline. So you don't want it under the ribs, you want it under the waistline, and then the pelvis is down. And this will give you lumbar support. It's really easy to do, and it's right there for you. So that's why we have the second towel. So moving on, we're going to do a set of flies. So there's so many variations on flies, and I'm just going to do some basic flies. But draw the shoulders out of the neck, that's primary. And then make sure that you are holding the weights over the chest and not over the face or over the neck. A lot of times people just lift a little too far and that pulls the rib cage off. So hold it over the chest. So as you open, keep the elbows soft, but the arms long, and then pull up. So please remember that you must choose the weight that will help you keep a long arm for these basic flies. Breathe in, fill the lungs as you open, empty them as you close. Now, a mistake that's often made in doing flies or bench presses is arching the back and lifting the ribs off of the mat. So you want to keep the bottom of the rib cage down on the mat as you're working your dumbbell flies. That means your abdominals are taking control of the rib cage and your spine is staying neutral. Let's see if we can do 4 more. Remember, if you fatigue, it's okay to stop. And you bring your dumbbells down. So another position that you are welcome to do while you're in on the mat doing flies or your presses is to be in just a loose tabletop position. But remember, we have to keep the pelvis in a neutral alignment. Don't let those legs pull the lumbar spine off of your support or off of your mat. So that tabletop position is optional. Some people like it. I like doing it in some of the exercises. This time, we're going to take one light, super light dumbbell and the other dumbbell that you just used. Now, this is an interesting way because you know when we carry loads in everyday life, we're never even. We're never walking around with even loads and doing this, okay? So this is going to help stimulate not only the brain, but the muscle fibers to work with uneven loads. Same exercise, but one weight is light, one weight is heavy. Keep the ribs anchored down, abs are tight, shoulders out of neck. So we're doing 6 and up, and 5 and up, and 4 and up, and 3 and up, and 2 and up, and 1 and up. Switching safely to side 2. Set your shoulders, engage your abs, of course, and here we go. 6 and up. That first one's a doozy, isn't it? 5 and up, 4 and up, 3 and up, 2 and up, 1 and done. Okay, so the lightweight goes bye-bye for just a moment, and we're going to continue with both dumbbells for bench presses. Now, if you happen to have a barbell at home, this is what is done with a barbell, but you can also use it with 2 dumbbells. So dumbbells of equal weight in this one, and we're going to take it down towards the shoulders, elbows wide, and then straighten back up. So inhale to lower, exhale to press up. Please keep the shoulder blades on the mat as you press up. Now there's another version where it adds scapular protraction, but we're going to do a basic barbell chest press. Elbows are going wide because then that gives more distance for your pectoral muscles to bring that upper arm bone closer towards the chest as you straighten up. 4 more if you have it. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And from here, feel free on your own to do a second set if you want to pause your recording and do a second set, or if not, then we're going to move on to what's called skull busters. So I love skull busters. Now you can use the exact same weight, but remember that the weight has to service 2 arms. So sometimes you want to move to a heavier weight. So if I'm using this 12-pound dumbbell, each arm is only working 6 pounds. So set the shoulders, hold nice and carefully. Make sure all the joints are happy with the weight that you've chosen. So you bend your elbows, keeping them narrow, and bring that weight towards the forehead and then straighten. So hence the name skull busters, but don't bust your skull, please. And this is number 3. And this is number 4. Now, what would really make it interesting is if you did that loose tabletop. Number 5 and 6. I'm starting to drop my elbows because I'm thinking about my legs. 7 and 8. We're going for 12 if you've got it. 9 and 10. Body check the shoulders, make sure they're not hiking into the neck. 11, ribs are down, and 12. And you can bring each foot down. Moving on. If you want to do a second set, feel free to do it on your own. But we're going to move on to the next exercise, which is a dumbbell pullover. Now on the dumbbell pullover, doing it flat on your mat A lot of people like to add a little bit of a crunch to it, but I'm eliminating spinal flexion because for active aging, if there are disc issues or bone density issues, you don't want to flex your spinal column. You want to keep your spine neutral. So this is a good way to do it. However, on a mat, you can't go back very, very far because then the floor gets in your way. But at least you can get some of the range of motion. I'm going to add that loose tabletop. Shoulders out of the neck, elbows are soft, and abs are tight. Inhale to go back. Exhale, pull forward towards the knees. And again. Now, some people like to exhale back because that gives their abdominal muscles a little more strength to go back, as that weight is causing a lot of resistance for the abs as well. So you can exhale on the way back if that works better for you. Let's try 4 more. 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Nice job. Okay, so we're going to move on to triceps, and we're doing a single arm tricep lying supine. I learned this exercise from a physical therapist who was amazing. I got to know him really well, and he's a fine physical therapist. This single arm tricep is done in a position that makes it easier for your shoulder to negotiate that weight. So you're going to start with one arm is holding the dumbbell. The hand is facing the opposite, the contralateral knee. And your free arm is going to help hold the working arm stable. You want to hold at the bicep or tricep area. Make sure your shoulder stays down. So you take that weight to the opposite shoulder and then you straighten. Now everybody's elbows are different, and some elbows are, let's say, very, very delicate, and they don't like certain movements. So listen to your body, and if there is a range that doesn't feel good, if you slightly adjust that range of motion to where it does feel good, that's fine. It's always great to make accommodations. I think this is number 8. We're going to try for 4 more if you've got it. And 3. And 2, and 1. So switching weights. We've changed positions, so recheck all of your connections and your alignment. Keep that shoulder blade down the whole time. And one thing I didn't mention on side 1 is your wrist. We shouldn't have our wrists being bent and affected by that weight. So the weight is held at an angle. The hand faces the opposite knee. As you lower the weight, this is number 1, try not to curl the thumb downward. So keep your wrist as neutral as possible. And since it's easy to watch your wrist as you're doing this exercise, then you can body check it often. You can also hold under if you wish. Some people prefer that. Some people like this too. I prefer holding the bicep. This one's number 8, so 4 more if you've got it. Don't be surprised if one arm feels a little weaker than the other because we're not perfectly balanced one side to the other, but we're always trying to achieve a good balance in our body. Here comes the last one. Great job. And once again, if you feel like doing a second set of those, feel free. So we're going to move on. I'm checking my list here. Oh yes, my favorite series. And I learned this from that same physical therapist for shoulder issues. And it's a shoulder strengthening series that targets the really intrinsic muscles of the shoulder joint. Very delicate joint, and a lot of things can go wrong with it. So these are exercises that work with those delicate muscles. They're so important because they help hold the integrity of the shoulder joint. So no, it's not the vanity muscles. It's more important than the vanity muscles. That's why we're using a super light dumbbell. I mean super light. This is a 2-pound. I use 3-pound in classes, but a 2-pound, 3-pound maybe, 1 pound, or no weight. Sometimes using no weight is appropriate. So from here, you're going to need your elbow support or your towel, whatever works. So your guarded kneeling pad, and you're in that little side elbow plank position. So from here, draw the shoulder out of the neck, pull the armpit down the side. We're starting with a simple reverse fly. Remember, this is not for the vanity muscles. These are for the muscles that help hold the joint together. So starting with the arm front, and this version, the arm starts level with the shoulder joint itself. Slowly take it towards the ceiling. Don't go behind your shoulder, and slowly front. Now you notice that my arm is not directly up because that pulls the shoulder blade out of the neutral alignment. So match the line with your collarbones. This is number 4. I'm going slow because it's a long lever. 5 and 6. Now if your neck is getting tired, look down to your bottom elbow. 7 and 8. Then pause here, turn your hand to face the legs. Body check your plank, and let's go down. 8, reach long away from the shoulder. 7, don't go too high here, match your collarbones. 6 and 5, exhaling on the way up. 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Pausing here, nice and long. Now relax, give it a little bit of recovery. If you've noticed, a light weight goes a long way with these exercises. Okay, so I don't want to cover my backpack, so I'm going to put it down. Resting your elbow on your body. Now from here, keep the ribs in. A lot of times we have a tendency to push the ribs forward. We want to keep a neutral spine. Starting at navel height, wide collarbones. This is for your external rotators of the humerus. Here we go. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Great. Which arm's the most tired? This one's getting tired on me. So let's do side 2. Okay, we've changed position. So you align the body, draw the shoulder out of the neck, keep the ribs lifted, and the abs very firm. Arm starts forward. Make sure your chest and upper back stay wide. We go up for 8 and front, and 7 and front, 6 and front, 5, try not to throw the weight, 4 and 3 and 2, 1, and stay. Turn the arm to face the legs. Make sure your arm lines up with the collarbones. I hope I'm on point here. And here we go. 8 and up. 7 and up. 6, if your neck gets tired, this is the position. 5, but don't hang the head. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Finishing long. Little recovery time. Body check your little plank here. Rest the elbow on your body. Keep the ribs under control. And now this is faster. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Fantastic. So that prepared us for a true elbow plank. So here we are. We're going to be on our elbow, so you can use your garden kneeling pad or your towel, whatever you're using. And the legs are going to be staggered, heel to toe. It's more challenging if they're stacked, and that's an option as well. Do a little test run and make sure that your elbow is where you want it to be. So if it's too close, your structure is not totally sound. Okay, pull the abs in, help yourself up if you need, hand on the pelvis. Hold, make sure your ribs are connected, and hold. Four more blows. And come down. Let's do side two. If when you're holding your plank you feel this happening with the shoulder, then that means you're fatigued, the scapular retractors or depressors are fatigued, then it's time to come out, take some recovery, and try it again. So for side two, once again, do a little test run, making sure that your elbow's in a position where you feel more secure. If your arm's too far away, it kind of drives the head of that humerus into the joint, so it should be under you, but not too close. So heel to toe, top leg is back. You can help yourself up and hold. Now let's go for those exhales. If you want arm up, that's an optional. And coming on out of it. Great job. So that is, we have one more exercise to do. I thought I was wrapping it up, but we have one more exercise. So this is a straight-legged bridge, but it involves the arms as well. So in this exercise, your legs are going to be laterally rotated. Normally I do this with my legs on the step, and I have something similar to yoga blocks to prop my arms up, but we're also going to do it right now flat on the mat if you don't have that equipment. From here, I turn my hands out instead of doing them forward. You see that position a lot? Well, look how much extension I should say, it puts in the wrist. Also, it turns the head of the humerus immediately. It rolls those arms in. We're turned in enough. So aim the fingers out, and when you press up, pull up on the pelvic floor and lift. So in this bridge, never hang your head back because the neck needs support. So look to the horizon, pull the abs in, fire into your glutes, and come on down. And we're going to do one more, but you can do as many as you want. So engage your pelvic floor, slide the legs down the back. This is an exhale. Hold here. Let's do 4 exhales. And coming on out of it. So that is your basic active aging weight workout. Follow me now for a stretch. We're going to bring the chair back in. You'll need your chair. You're going to need one of your towels, and then we'll stretch together. Hi, are you ready to stretch? I sure am. So you need your towel, and we'll be doing the stretch today seated in a chair and then standing with the chair. So start with taking the towel and making it as long as it possibly can be. So you grab one corner and grab not the same corner, but the opposite corner. When you stretch it, you stretch the towel on the bias, and now it's a longer towel. So it's easier for you to loop it under your foot and hold it with both arms. So you take the center, and we're going to start by placing it under the arch of the foot. And please be seated towards the front edge of the chair. We're not resting right now, that's later, but seated towards the front edge of the chair. You also, if you want to, you can kind of twist the towel around so it's not flopping around. So from here, one leg is going to be bent, and it's not stretching, it's just hanging out there waiting its turn. So you start with a nice neutral spine, point the toe down. So we want the toe down. There's a reason for this, so bear with me on it. So feel the stretch at the front of the ankle. Now, the stretch comes from flexing the hip, not from bending the spine. So lift the spine nice and long and take the top of the pelvis and tip it forward towards the leg. So you lift the sit bones behind you and the top of the pelvis tips forward. Keep the spine really long and neutral. So it's basically a hip hinge with a very stable core. So when you feel a stretch, a mild stretch, hang out here and hold. So take a moment, big inhale, On your exhale, slowly flex the ankle, pushing the heel forward, and slip the towel to the ball of the foot. Now you can add some pulling on that towel to aid in that ankle dorsiflexion. Body check your abs, and you should have noticed that the stretch intensified a bit and also included your calf muscles. Wide chest, retract the neck, because our heads really like to go forward in this position. And then breathe in, prepare. With your exhale, lift the tailbone, the sit bones, a little bit higher if you can to deepen the stretch. That's all it takes to get a really good seated hamstring stretch. So hold and breathe. And then come on up. You can take the towel off, but leave your leg there because we're going to use it as a prop for a gluteal stretch. Take your opposite leg, place the ankle on the knee in a figure 4. Hold your towel on your chair and slowly bend the bottom knee. So from here, you should be feeling the beginnings of the stretch in your glute. Or for some of you, you might be feeling a pretty powerful gluteal stretch. So the same principles apply here. Alignment, wide chest, nice long neck, knock the head forward. Lift the sit bones. Tip the top of the pelvis forward in a hip hinge to intensify your stretch. It doesn't take much. You don't have to round forward or wrap your arms around the legs. Just that nice little hip hinge forward. So hold for a good breath. This should feel good after those bridges we did. And then come up out of it. Now while your foot's there, let's go ahead and load it up with your towel. And going for leg number 2. So remember, we start with the toe pointed because we're going to get a little ankle stretch here. Find your alignment and the top of the pelvis tips forward, the bottom of the pelvis lifts. Once you begin to feel a stretch, pause and slowly flex the ankle. It's called dorsiflexion because the dorsal, the top part of the foot, draws up towards the leg. Hold here, take a breath in. As you exhale, see if you can lift the tail a little higher, but not by pushing the ribs. I caught myself on that, did you see that? And lifting the tail, wide chest, neck retracted. And use your towel, slipping it to the ball of the foot to gently draw back to get your calf muscles involved. And then easing up out of it, leaving the leg there. Place the ankle on the opposite knee, then bend your bottom leg. From here, you are seated, you're getting a gluteal stretch, also some inner thigh muscles, flatten belly and back, and lift, tipping the top of the pelvis forward, wide chest, connecting ribs into abs as always, and breathe. And coming on up. So we just stretched the hip extensors, but we need to stretch the hip flexors. And I love this chair to do a really nice seated quad and hip flexor stretch. So you're going to turn sideways. You'll have one sit bone on the chair and one's going to be off the chair. And you get to hang on to the chair so you don't fall out. So take a moment and create 90-degree angles. So one knee is down, one knee is forward. This is a great stretch if you've been seated at your computer for too long and your hips are starting to hurt from it, or even your lower back. So try to create good alignment, ear, shoulder, hip, and knee. Then the stretch comes from scooping the abs in, tucking the tail under, the exact opposite of that hamstring stretch, and the top of the pelvis tips back. Breathing as you hold. So with the knee being bent, it's drawing down and that posterior tilt is drawing up and you're getting quadriceps stretch and a hip flexor stretch. And we're going to repeat side 2. So once again, one sit goes on and hold on as you set up. Make sure your knee is directly under your hip joint and your front knee in line with the other hip joint. They take a moment and tuck the tail under. Press the pubis forward and feel the lengthening in the front of the thigh. This is also good to be scooping your abs in. That's great ab training. And then coming up out of it. So we're going to stand now and do a standing calf stretch. So turn your chair to the side or go behind your chair if you want. Standing forward, you'll have one leg go back and the front knee bends as you do. So as you're setting up, feet are hip distance apart, so don't have the feet too close together. So they're hip distance apart. Your back leg should only be as far back as the heel can be down. Nice wide chest. Lift the heel up, stretching your instep. Now press it down. And if you want it to be deeper, bend the front knee and bring the pelvis forward. You should be one long line from ear to shoulder to hip to ankle. And hold as you breathe. Also make sure that that back toe is pointing to the chair, pointing straight ahead and not off to the corner. Coming out of it, you'll switch out your legs, keeping them hip distance apart. Remember your alignment, chest wide, neck retracted, front knee is bending. Lift the heel, feel the stretch in the ball of the foot, and then press down deep. Make sure that torso is hinging forward, that you have that nice long line from ear to ankle. This should feel really good. And then you step out of it. Now one last stretch that we're going to do is a side bend, and from here you can hold on to the chair if you want, or just do it without the chair. But you lift up and out of the pelvis and lengthen. Now it's not a deep compressive bend. Think of a lengthening the rib cage out of the pelvis and an arcing over to the side. Make that outer foot really heavy. And then coming up, reset center and do side two. And the final stretch, you need your towel. So grabbing your towel, stand on the towel with one foot and hold with the same arm, the ipsilateral arm. Hold low enough on the towel that it pulls your shoulder down. Now the body needs to be nice and straight and neutral. So we're not bending the body, but we should hold low on the towel to depress the shoulder down. From here, your free hand can go ahead and rest on the shoulder for extra weight. Lift the neck out of the shoulder, lift the head out of the neck, glance halfway upward towards your ceiling, and hold and breathe for a moment. And we're targeting the muscles that attach into the lateral neck, your trapezius, levator scapula, some of the supraspinatus and deltoid get stretched here too. You might notice your bicep stretching as well, maybe even the tricep. Then ease out of it. You always want to ease out of the stretch, and let's do side two. We're coming down the home stretch here, literally. And make sure your shoulder is down, it's lower than normal. Lift the neck out of the shoulder, lift the head out of the neck. This arm can just add weight. Aim your face upwards somewhat, and breathe. And easing out of it. And that is our active aging strength session. It's been so wonderful to share my workout with you. Thank you so much.